Now, as everything around you falls silent, while the world outside slows down and the quiet fills every corner, there's someone who can't stop thinking about you. This person tries to ignore it, attempts to distract their mind, but it's no use. Your name comes to mind, your face appears in the most unexpected details, and the memory of you becomes impossible to shake off. It's not just nostalgia. It's not just any thought. It's something that weighs heavily, that burns, that consumes. Perhaps it's something unresolved, a word that was left unsaid, a gesture that never happened, a feeling that was never expressed. But now, in the dead of night, without distractions, without masks, the truth demands to be heard. And if you feel something right now, if suddenly a chill runs through your body, or a specific thought invades your mind, don't ignore it. Because this person is not just thinking, they are feeling. They are calling out to you. The question is, will you respond? Right now, at this very moment, as the darkness dominates the night and silence fills every space, there's someone who can't get you out of their head. They may have tried. They might have distracted themselves throughout the day, occupied their mind with other things, moved on as if you were nothing more than a distant memory. But now, in the dead of night, the truth is screaming. There are no voices to silence what's within. There's not enough noise to drown out what the heart insists on feeling. The name echoing in their mind is yours. The memory that keeps coming back is yours. And what do you do when you can no longer run away? This person is feeling your presence right now, as if somehow your energy is there with them, occupying the same space, filling every thought. And if you stop for a second, close your eyes and simply pay attention, you will feel it too. Maybe it's a sudden chill, an uncomfortable feeling that you can't quite place, or even that impulse to reach for your phone, to search, to see if somewhere in the world that person is feeling the same way. And the truth? They are. Because there's something unfinished, something that has been suspended in time. It could be a conversation that never happened, a feeling that was ignored but never really disappeared. This connection hasn't been broken. And that's why in the middle of the night, without any warning, without any explanation, that person finds themselves thinking of you. The heart races. The mind relives scenes, words, moments. It tries to convince itself that it's just a coincidence, but it's not. It's so much more than that. Is it longing? Is it regret? Or is it a call that can no longer be ignored? You know this isn't the first time. You know that this feeling doesn't come from nowhere. And maybe, just maybe, it's a sign. What are you going to do about it? You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that invisible presence that seems to linger over you. As if in some way that person is so close that you can almost hear their thoughts, because that person is not just remembering you. They are feeling. Their heart weighs heavy with absence. Their chest tightens in an empty space that can only be named after you. And no matter how hard they try to ignore it, to change the subject, to run from that thought, something pulls them back, as if something bigger is trying to tell them what they don't want to admit. And you? Do you feel it too? If you sense that presence, that name pulsing in your mind out of nowhere, don't ignore it, because it's not by chance. How many times have you been through this? How many times, without any explanation, did you feel you should pick up the phone, that you should send that message, that you should break this silence that has lasted too long? So what happened? Did pride take over? Did fear stop you from acting? Did you convince yourself it was just your imagination, that none of it meant anything real? So tell me, if it was just imagination, why does this keep happening? Why, even after all this time, even after everything, does that name keep coming back? Why, in the quietest hour of the night, when you're alone with your thoughts, is that person still there? Because this isn't just a memory, it isn't just a habit of the mind, this is a bond, something that hasn't been cut, something that still calls out. That person thinks of you because something was left unresolved. There's something that still needs to be said, something that still needs to be felt. And maybe now is the time to confront it. But the question you need to ask yourself is, are you ready? Because if you decide to ignore it one more time, if you choose to let that feeling pass, as if it were just another random thought, it will come back. It might be tomorrow. It might be next week. It might be in a few months. But it will return. because that person still feels, and deep down you do too. So tell me, how long are you going to pretend you don't notice? And now, what are you going to do about it? Because ignoring it is no longer an option. Pretending you don't feel is no longer possible. You might try. You might distract yourself, convince yourself it's all in your head. But deep down, you know the truth. That person doesn't think of you for no reason. It's not a random thought, it's not a whim of the mind. It's a call, something that hasn't been resolved, something that still burns, that still weighs on you, that's still there, insisting on existing. And what if it's more than just a memory? What if that feeling is a warning? Because the night has this power. It brings to light what the day tries to hide. It forces us to confront what we avoid. And now, while this person is there, lost in thought, wondering if you feel the same, wondering if they should do something, you feel it too. Don't try to fight it. Don't pretend it doesn't affect you. If it meant nothing, it wouldn't keep coming back in the silence of the early morning. If it were irrelevant, it wouldn't stir this restlessness inside you. Now picture this person. They stare at the ceiling, at the screen of their phone, at the clock that keeps ticking forward. Time passes, but thoughts linger. The desire to talk to you grows. But at the same time, there's fear. Fear of breaking the silence. Fear of not being reciprocated. Fear of losing themselves even more in a feeling that already consumes them. What if this person is waiting for you to take the initiative? What if they are counting on a sign from you, on something you do, to finally stop fighting against what is already obvious? You feel the same way. You know you do. But how long will you wait? How long will you let pride, hesitation, and the fear of taking the first step keep you from living what needs to be lived? What would happen if right now, at this very moment, you picked up the phone and did what your heart has asked you to do so many times? What if you took the risk? Because one thing is certain, this person is thinking of you. They miss you. But they need a reason to believe that you feel the same, and now what will you do about it? So, will you continue to ignore this connection, or will you finally do something about it? Because at this very moment, this person is there, battling their own pride, the fear of appearing vulnerable, the almost uncontrollable urge to reach out to you. Their heart races. Their restless hands pick up the phone, scroll through old messages, hesitate to type something. What to say? How to begin? Would you respond? Would you feel the same? As these doubts eat away inside, time passes. Minutes turn into hours. But the thoughts remain unchanged. You. The name that insists on pulsing in her mind. The face that appears in the most unexpected details. The voice that echoes in her memory, bringing with it everything she has tried to ignore until now. But there are no more distractions. There's no noise loud enough to drown out what is screaming inside her. And what about you? Do you feel it too? All the time, as if a part of you is connected to this person in a way that reason cannot explain. As if, somehow, her energy touches yours, and even from a distance you are still linked. If it were just any memory, it would have faded by now. If it were just an unimportant thought, it wouldn't come back at the same time with the same intensity. But you know it's not just that, because this person doesn't just think about you. She feels your absence. She feels your presence, even without being by your side. And deep down, maybe she's waiting for a sign. Maybe she's hoping that this time, it will be you who breaks the silence. But will you do it? Or will you continue pretending you don't feel anything? Because there are two possibilities now. You can ignore that feeling, turn away, try to sleep, convincing yourself it's all in your head. And tomorrow, when the day breaks, you will push that feeling to the back of your mind again, until the night arrives and everything happens all over again. Or you can accept that this means something, that this connection still exists, that this person feels the same way. And for a moment, imagine, if you sent that message right now, what would happen? The response could change everything. But the choice is yours. What are you going to do? Do you feel the weight of this moment, the tension in the air? This silence that seems to be charged with something that can no longer be ignored? Now, as this person stares at their phone, rereads old messages, rehearses words they may never send, you too feel their presence in some way. A restlessness, a tightness in your chest, that inexplicable urge to pick up the phone, to look for them. to find out if this person on the other side is feeling the same way. And the answer? Yes, they are. But who will take the first step? Because time is passing. You can delay, you can try to ignore, you can choose to pretend that this feeling isn't strong enough to move you. But what if it is? What if this is your last chance, because nothing lasts forever? No feeling, no matter how intense, can survive without reciprocity. No bond, no matter how strong it seems, can withstand constant neglect. This person may be waiting for a sign. They might be holding back the impulse to reach out because deep down, they need to know if you still feel the same. And what if you do nothing? Time may take its toll. Life may push you down different paths. Someone else may fill the space that was once yours. And when that happens, it won't help to ask yourself, what if? If you feel it, if you think about it, if this connection still burns inside you, why keep delaying? Think about everything you've experienced together. The moments that are etched in your memory. The details that no one else understands, but that have always made sense between you. Is it really over? Or is it just waiting for someone to have the courage to break the silence? Perhaps this person has rehearsed this conversation 1,000 times. Maybe they've already wondered what it would be like if you showed up out of nowhere, if you revealed that you miss them too. But what about you? How long will you pretend you don't feel the same? The truth is simple. If you feel it, then there's still time. But only until the moment this person decides to truly move on. So, what will you do? Will you wait for that moment to arrive? Or will you do something before it's too late? What if you wait too long? What if tomorrow this person wakes up determined to forget you? Because eventually, the heart gets tired. At some point, even the strongest feelings lose their intensity. What is desire today may turn into indifference tomorrow. Are you really willing to take that risk? Because maybe this person has picked up their phone dozens of times to call you, but gave up at the last second. Maybe they rehearsed the words, rewritten messages that were never sent. Maybe they spent sleepless nights waiting for a sign from you. But eventually they might decide to stop waiting. And what if that is the last thought they have about you? What if this is the last night they lose sleep because of you? If you don't do anything now, tomorrow may be too late. Do you feel that tightness in your chest? That weight that keeps you from moving on as if nothing is happening? Because this connection wasn't created for no reason. This thought that insists on chasing you is not an illusion. If it were just in your head, why is it still here? This person misses you, but they won't wait forever. What if one day you wake up and realize they really moved on? That the thoughts that were about you now belong to someone else? That the space that was once only yours has now been filled? Life doesn't wait. Time doesn't stop. And while you hesitate, while you think about whether or not to send that message, this could be your last chance to do something. Are you willing to take that risk? Or will you wait for silence to turn into forgetfulness? Because eventually, it won't be about pride anymore, it will be too late. So what will you do now? Now, the decision is yours. You could keep ignoring this feeling, pushing it off until tomorrow, thinking there will always be time to sort it out. You can pretend you don't feel, that you don't think, that you don't care. But eventually, this person will stop waiting. And when that happens, when she finally decides to move on, she won't look back anymore. What do you feel right now? Is your heart racing? Do you feel the urge to act? Are you torn between sending that message or letting it slip by once again? Be honest with yourself. Do you want to lose that connection? Because if you do, just keep everything as it is. Silence will take care of the rest. But if you feel that there's still something strong inside, if you know this story shouldn't have ended like this, then do something. Time doesn't go back. Opportunities pass by. And in the end, what remains are the regrets of what we didn't do. If this person is still on your mind, it's because in some way you're still connected. Now, the choice is in your hands. Will you wait for fate to decide for you, or will you take the step that could change everything? If this message resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. I know this connection still exists, because feeling is human, but having the courage to act is rare.